Tuesday morning, everybody. So glad you're joining us here on Spectrum News 13. I'm Ibeth Brusual. Let's get to the big story right now, and that is Hurricane Ian. There it is. The hurricane made landfall over western part of Cuba as a strong Category 3 hurricane earlier this morning. It's expected to make landfall in Florida as early as tomorrow. Lake Polk and Sumter counties are currently under a hurricane watch. Seminole County leaders prompting evacuations for flood-prone areas at some point. Stay tuned for more details. Leaders gave an update yesterday saying that 8 emergency shelters will open tomorrow before they call for that evacuation order. And the Artemis 1 moon rocket now back at the vehicle assembly building. There it is. Why are they moving it into this, well, kind of like a garage? That's to protect it from the hurricane, of course. This is footage as it made its long, very slow trek back to the building this morning. The next available launch window is for between October 17th and the 31st. The wait is over. Certified meteorologist Maureen McCann joining us now. So 11 o'clock numbers, brand new, just came out, Maureen. What does it say about this hurricane?
The hurricane is still a major hurricane, Category 3. Winds came down a little bit and moved over land, so that can happen, but strengthening is projected to occur. When I say the winds came down a little bit, went from 125 to 115. So this is the latest advisory information. It's moving to the north at 10 miles per hour. So that is a little slower. It was 12 miles per hour with the last advisory. The other noticeable shift, and again, this just came in. So myself and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick looking this over, and we are seeing that it would be making landfall still as a major hurricane, potentially as a Cat 3, exact location, still trying to pinpoint that, but the track would take it across the peninsula where we still would have the strong winds, the flood threats, the isolated tornadoes with the storm's passage, which would be slowly throughout Thursday, but also well in advance of the system, starting as soon as today as we see the rain lift into South Florida, the storm becoming better within view on Clystron 13, so we can see those rain bands, some of those already producing some rotating cells in South Florida. We just have a few pockets of rain to the south, but we anticipate rain to become steadier by tonight, and those gusty squalls will pick up as well. So that's new information. Of course, we will have more coming up with your weather on the ones.
All right, thanks so much, Mo. We will see you in just a little bit. I tell you what, let's take you live to Osceola County. There's a Hurricane Ian press briefing underway. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Facing, in addition to the winds and also the rain, will be the tornado threat. Because we're going to be on the bad side of the storm and the way the rain bands will be coming up from the south side, we will be having that for the next 2-day period. So be cautious of the tornadoes, and if you hear that tornado warning go off, please take action in your shelters or in your homes. With that, I will turn over the next briefing over to Chairman Brandon Arrington.
Thank you, Bill, and welcome everyone to Osceola County. As Bill was stating, even though we're not positive that the storm may turn or continue to head our direction, we're making sure we take every precautionary action that needs to be happening here in Osceola County. So I'm going to detail some of the events and things that were taking place just so our citizens and the rest of our community are aware. Sandbag operations. Sandbags are available today at Osceola Heritage Park until 6 p.m. tonight, weather permitting. Bags and sand will be provided, but you will need to bring a shovel. Residents are allowed 25 sandbags per house. The City of St. Cloud has also opened a sandbag distribution for its residents today at their Civic Center at 3001 17th Street. Limit of 15 sandbags per vehicle there as well. And you must fill them yourself, and it is open till 7 p.m. Once again, weather permitting this evening. Shelter information. Here again, even if we are not impacted heavily by the storm, we realize that there will be folks from the West Coast perhaps migrating into our community to utilize our shelters as well. The shelter information follows. Osceola County has 3 general population shelters that will open at 2 p.m. today. Those general population shelters are located at Celebration High School at 1809 Celebration Boulevard, Celebration, Florida 34747. Kissimmee Middle School, which is our pet-friendly shelter, at 210 Dyer Boulevard, Kissimmee 34741. Harmony High School at 3601 Arthur J. Gallagher Boulevard in St. Cloud at 34771. The Osceola County Special Needs Shelter will also open today at the Council on Aging, located at 700 Generation Point, Kissimmee, Florida, 34744. And please remember that individuals at these special needs shelters should bring medicine and all other vital supplies, including oxygen and other electronic media devices. For more information about those shelters, please call the Osceola Special Needs Hotline at 407-742-9001. Osceola County offices will be closed today, starting at noon, and we will tentatively plan to reopen on Friday, once again, weather permitting. Continue to stay connected with us on our website at osceola.org, or also follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. The City of St. Cloud and its transfer station will be closed tomorrow and Thursday. No trash pickup for the rest of the week for St. Cloud residents. In the City of Kissimmee, their administrative offices will be closed to the public on Wednesday, September 28th, and Thursday, September 29th as well. They will still be having their commission meeting this evening as well. All public parks, community centers, and recreational facilities within city limits are closed until further notice. The city's red light camera court scheduled for Wednesday, September 28th, has been postponed until further notice. Solid waste services for City of Kissimmee residents is suspended for Thursday, September 29th, and Friday, September 30th as well. School closures. All Osceola District public schools will be closed the rest of the week. This includes all school activities, events, and programs. Originally, they were closed Wednesday and Thursday, and the addition of Friday has been added just this morning. Residents should stay informed by monitoring weather reports and by receiving emergency phone alerts through Osceola's free Alert Osceola service by texting the word Alert Osceola to 888-777. Now at this time, it gives me great pleasure to turn it over to our Sheriff, Sheriff Lopez. Sheriff?
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Here at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, we're committed to public safety. In preparation for the storm, we've teamed with our partner county agencies to give out valuable information in regards to suggestions to keeping you, your family, and your home safe during this storm. People have questions, and we're going to try to answer as many as we can. One of the questions that were brought up were the sex offenders and where will they be if we have to have people housed in certain areas. Their designated shelters are going to be at the Osceola County Courthouse, and that's 2 Courthouse Square. We're also going to have deputies at the shelters, making sure that you're safe and your property is secure. We are a 24-hour operation, and we're going to have A and B shifts working 24 hours a day. All our law enforcement officers will be in some capacity working either here at the emergency center or in the streets patrolling to make sure that you're safe and your property is safe. Price gouging. If you see anyone, any business raising their prices of the gas or basic necessities that we need to survive, please let us know. It's illegal, especially during a state of emergency. Or you can call the 1-866-9-NO-SCAM hotline directly and report it. And the state will definitely take some action, and we'll do follow-up with them. We won't tolerate this here in Osceola County. All the deputies will be out. Like I said, they'll be patrolling and make it during the duration of the storm until the emergency's over. You know, and we want to make it very clear that we're going to have a zero tolerance of any individuals committing crimes during the storm. If you're out and up to no good, you know, we're going to arrest you, and your shelter is going to be at the Osceola County Jail. It's probably going to be a lot longer than the duration of the storm. So we know that criminals are going to take advantage of emergency situations. The governor has declared this a state of emergency, and the crimes and penalties will be enhanced. So if a normal crime will put you 5 years in jail, if you do something now and we grab you and arrest you, it'll be 15 years in jail. We have zero tolerance in that, and we're going to hold everyone here accountable. We'll be activating no curfew at this time. We've talked to the other sheriffs. We're not going to be implementing a curfew. If something changes, we'll let you know. But for now, there'll be no curfew. We won't force people to leave their homes unless something changes. You know, we're not going to make you leave right now, and we'll update you as it goes on. If you have any elderly neighbors that you know of that need any assistance, please check on them. And if we're doing any checks in the area and you flag us down after the storm, you have any concerns, let us know, and we can check on them. Please be safe. Make sure that you got everything ready. Have a plan. Be patient at the stores, too. We've seen a lot of people get into fights at the gas stations, the grocery stores. We don't need this. It's not the end of the world. It's a storm. We'll get through this like we have before. Just get the basic essentials you need to sustain you until it's over. If you can make yourself, please don't go outdoors if you don't have to during the storm. Apologize. You don't want to become a casualty, and you're going to put first responders at risk if you do that, if we have to come out and find you. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things in Spanish for the Spanish community in aspect of the sex offenders. Los refugios en Osceola County, va a haber refugio para la gente, los ofensores sexuales. Ellos se van a reportar a la corte, es el 2 Courthouse Square en Kissimmee, si necesitan hospedaje. Si ustedes ven que alguien está aumentando los precios de gasolina durante esta emergencia, eso es un crimen. Por favor, llámenos, repórtalo inmediatamente o llamen al 1-866-9-NO-SCAM y repórtalo. Todos los policías van a estar en la calle 24 horas, todos los días hasta que se acabe la tormenta. También no hay toque de queda en este momento, so no tienen que preocuparse por eso. Y también, pero si no tienen que salir a la calle, no salgan. No hay desalojo mandatorio tampoco en el momento, a menos que algo cambie. Si conoce un vecino anciano o incapacitado, ofrécele ayuda o nos deja saber y nosotros lo podemos dar una ayuda. Mantenga la calma en la gasolinera y las tiendas cuando estén de compra. Hemos visto un aumento en gente peleando y no es necesario llegar a ese punto y tenemos que arrestarte y no puedes ayudar a tu familia en estos momentos de necesidad. Y le damos un aviso fuerte a los delincuentes. Si estás en la calle cometiendo un delito, tu refugio va a ser en la cárcel. Y también, como esto es un estado de emergencia, si están cometiendo delitos durante este tiempo, las penalidades son mucho más fuertes y puede pasar más tiempo en la cárcel. Y eso es todo por ahora. Gracias.
Go ahead, I was going to introduce you, but go ahead.
Buenos días a todos. Soy Melissa Sayas Moreno, oficial de Comunicación de Asuntos Públicos de la ciudad de Kissimmee, también con el Centro de Información del EOC. Sobre la distribución de sacos de arena, están disponibles hoy en Osceola Heritage Park hasta las 6 de la tarde, si el tiempo lo permite, y se proporcionarán sacos y arena, pero traiga su propia pala, ya que son 25 sacos por hogar. La ciudad de St. Cloud también tiene una localización abierta para sus residentes hasta las 7 de esta noche en su Civic Center. Nuevamente hasta las 7 de la noche, y esto es en el 3001 calle 17 en St. Cloud, y el límite es de 15 sacos por persona, 15 sacos de arena, y también debe llenarlos usted mismo. Información sobre refugios. Hay 3 refugios de población general del condado Osceola que abrirán hoy a las 2 de la tarde en las siguientes escuelas. Celebration High School, ubicado en el 1809 Celebration Boulevard en Celebration, Florida, 34747. En Kissimmee Middle School, se aceptarán animales en el 210 Dyer Boulevard, Kissimmee, Florida, 34741. Y en Harmony High School, en el 3601 Arthur Gallagher Boulevard en St. Cloud, 34771. El refugio para aquellos con necesidades especiales del condado Osceola también abrirá hoy a las 2 de la tarde en el Osceola Council on Aging, que está ubicado en el 700 Generation Point, Kissimmee, Florida, 34744. Por favor, recuerde que las personas que se alojan en el refugio para necesidades especiales deben traer medicamentos y otros suministros vitales, incluyendo oxígeno u otros dispositivos de medios eléctricos. Para más información, por favor, llame a la línea directa de necesidades especiales del condado Osceola al 407-742-9001. Repito, 407-742-9001. Las oficinas del condado de Osceola cerrarán al mediodía hoy y hay planes de reabrir el viernes. Mientras tanto, manténgase conectados con nosotros en nuestras páginas web osceola.org, osceola.org o por Facebook y Twitter. Las oficinas de la ciudad de St. Cloud y su transfer station estarán cerradas mañana, miércoles y el jueves. No habrá recolección de basura mañana ni el jueves. Y en la ciudad de Kissimmee Sus oficinas administrativas estarán cerradas al público el miércoles 28 de septiembre y el jueves 29 de septiembre, pero nosotros tendremos la reunión de comisión esta tarde a las 6 en el salón de comisión. Todos los parques públicos, centros comunitarios y facilidades recreativas dentro de los límites de la ciudad estarán cerrados hasta nuevo aviso. El Tribunal de las Cámaras de Luz Roja, pautado para el miércoles 28 de septiembre, está pospuesto hasta nuevo aviso. Servicios de recogido de basura para los residentes de la ciudad de Kissimmee están suspendidos para el jueves 29 de septiembre y el viernes 30 de septiembre. Cierres de escuelas. Todas las escuelas públicas del distrito de Osceola estarán cerradas por el resto de la semana. Los residentes deben mantenerse informados monitoreando los informes meteorológicos y recibiendo alertas telefónicas de emergencia a través del servicio gratuito Alert Osceola de Osceola, enviando un mensaje de texto con la palabra Alert Osceola al 888-777. Repito, aquellos que quieran recibir notificaciones pueden enviar un mensaje de texto con la palabra Alert Osceola al 888-777. Y ahora estamos disponibles para preguntas. We're available for questions now.
Thank you. Any questions?
Okay. Sorry.
That's right.
Can you kind of walk us through, when we're going through a hurricane and all these people are kind of locked up inside, what does it typically the day look like for your deputies during storms or hurricanes like this?
Well, what we'll do is everybody that's an essential employee, like law enforcement sworn, that can respond to calls of service, and our dispatchers, they'll be working. What we'll do is during the storm, we'll have our deputies in strategic locations listening to their radio. We're not going to have them exposed to the elements, unless we have to get out there and help someone. So, if someone's calling in response to domestic violence or they're being hurt, of course we're going to go. It's just, that's what our job is, and that's what we're going to do.
Keith?
During Hurricane Irma, we saw a large-scale amount of flooding in Shingle Creek, specifically, obviously, at Good Samaritans. So any kind of outlook on that, expectations we should look at? Are you guys focusing on that?
Sure. There's been a self-evacuation prepared by the folks of Good Samaritan already in those low-lying areas. Fortunately, we have also completed the shoaling at the end of Shingle Creek, which helped pent up some of that water. And we've partnered better with Orange County to make sure they're not releasing water down Shingle Creek before it's needed, obviously. So working with those folks. But as continue, I would also say anyone in a low-lying area or also in mobile homes that are concerned about the storm and riding it out, please make sure you utilize our shelters that are available. We want to make sure everyone is safe, and life is the most important thing that we deal with as we move through the storm.
So evacuations right now are voluntary rather than mandatory?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
No problem. Any further questions?
López, estamos en vivo para Noticias Telemundo 31. Por favor, preguntarle cómo funciona o cómo funcionará esto de los albergues para los depredadores sexuales.
Si tú estás registrado en el estado de la Florida como un ofensor sexual, el refugio de ellos va a ser ubicado en el Osceola County Courthouse. Y la dirección es el 2 Courthouse Square. Ellos lo que tienen que presentarse allí y le van a dar hospedaje si lo necesitan. Que no vayan a los otros refugios porque no los van a dar entrada.
Ahora, ¿cómo se diferencia este servicio entre una emergencia y la actividad cotidiana que ustedes ejecutan, ¿no? O sea, ¿cómo no descuidar una cosa de la otra?
Pues fíjate, tú sabes que la seguridad de nuestra comunidad es lo número uno, y si tenemos que proteger a los niños y a los familiares de estos depredadores sexuales, desafortunadamente se van a tener que quedar en la calle, porque mi prioridad es mantener la seguridad de la gente y los ciudadanos en este condado.
¿Es oficial? ¿Ustedes se están preparando para un huracán acá en el condado de Osceola?
Sí, estamos preparados y tenemos a todos los oficiales actualmente activados y están 24 horas al día. Nosotros somos una entidad que no podemos tomar días libres. Vamos a estar trabajando aquí en esta operación de mando, centro de mando, en el centro de mando del Sheriff's Office, con todos los policías activados en la calle.
Okay. Any further questions? 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Are we hearing any reports, and Bill, maybe comment on this one, any shortages of anything? I hear gas is pretty plentiful, but...
All right, we're wrapping up. We'll continue to monitor this news briefing over in Osceola County. Various officials speaking from the sheriff and others, just imploring people, if they live in a low-lying area, to please go ahead and do a self-evacuation if you're a low-lying area or a mobile home. This is really interesting. One of the things, before I toss it over to certified meteorologist Maureen McCann, who's going to be talking more at length about this hurricane, is that they were saying, the sheriff was very clear to say that in Osceola County, any sexual offenders cannot show up to one of their shelters. They need to show up to the following locations. That's 2 Courthouse Square in Kissimmee. Why? They said if they show up anywhere else, they will be turned away. And if you're a family member who is a sexual offender, you're going to have to go to separate, shelters. He was very clear on that, saying they would have to ride it out in the elements. There's one location that would be the 2 Courthouse Square. We also want to remind you that Osceola County has sandbags available. If you look at the very bottom of your screen right now, we've got all the information scrolling from Osceola County, where to get sandbags at Osceola Heritage Park, also through many other counties in Central Florida. If you still have time, go ahead and go get your sandbags in that part of Central Florida. So again, we're monitoring the situation. We just dipped in with Osceola County about 9 o'clock this morning. We brought you the live news briefing with Governor Ron DeSantis, but right now we pause and pivot and talk about the big story, and that would be, of course, Hurricane Ian. Certified meteorologist Maureen McCann joining us now. Hey, Mo. So about 20 minutes ago or so, the new numbers came out, and I want to talk specifically about the path and the strength of the storm.
Yeah, so there were some subtle changes with the 11 o'clock update in terms of the track, but also in terms of what counties have now been added to the hurricane watch and the tropical storm warnings. And again, I was just getting my graphics ready, so let me show these to you. And of course, we'll show you the track and what the potential will be like. And also, I want to show you where we have some rain right now, because we're kind of running out of time to make those preparations. So with Ian being a Category 3 storm, we have the outer bands that are streaming north. And regardless of where it makes landfall, I've been saying this all along, regardless of where it makes landfall, impacts are going to be widespread. So the time is kind of running out for us to do those things outside, to bring in our patio furniture, to make any updates in terms of, or rather check for updates often today, because we know that we also could be getting into any tornado warnings, because that's a threat with any landfalling tropical system. So the impacts today, the clouds arriving, the outer bands, tomorrow those gusty squalls and isolated tornadoes, but a slower track would keep those threats around through Thursday. And when we add on the daily rainfall amounts on top of the already saturated ground, then that means we have the flood threat as well. And I have been talking about this in terms of hurricane prep. Hopefully you've done all these things. Trimming trees, so important to make your home secure. Also making sure that you bring in those outdoor items. Okay, so this is what I wanted to get to. I had some other graphics loaded, but I want to show you where we have a hurricane watch now in effect. This morning, it was for Lake and Sumter counties. Remember, this means conditions are possible for there to be winds of 74 miles per hour or greater. But now that threat has made its way into Seminole and Orange and Osceola counties, and that continues down to the south. There actually are no more tropical storm watches, so we can skip past that. None of our counties are included, but we have tropical storm warnings, meaning the threat is imminent for there to be tropical storm force winds. That goes from coast to coast, which is why it's not just where the storm makes landfall, because the threat is going to be widespread. Now to the cone. Again, I had these graphics loaded, but wanted to show you that the cone has shifted since 24 hours ago, a little bit more to the south and east. Remember, anywhere on the right side of the storm is where the storm is going to be producing the most rotation, the most spin in the atmosphere that can lead to isolated tornadoes, but also closer to the center circulation. You have that eye wall, and that's where the strongest wind gusts are. So if that eye wall remains intact as it moves on shore, that can also contribute to damage. The track does have it making landfall as a Cat 3. Again, it can go anywhere within this cone of uncertainty, but we've seen as confidence increases of the track and the models become more in agreement that the cone then becomes a bit smaller, showing that the more likely path it's going to take. And with the core of the strongest winds moving onshore, would weaken thereafter as it's not over water and it's going to have wind shear and dry air to battle. While the category may go down, we still need to prepare for the same impacts, because we can get power outages, we can get tree limbs down, and we can have the power outages lasting. And on top of that, we have the flood threat. So a lot of hazards to get through, a lot of different impacts, and a prolonged event that's going to continue through Friday at least, as we get the rain lingering as the storm tracks eventually off to the north of central Florida. Here's the next 7 days. Things will be much quieter by the weekend. We'll have much more coming your way at 11:31.
Time now for your health news this Tuesday morning. And pregnancies from in vitro fertilization using frozen embryos appear to be linked to an increased risk of some complications.
Yeah, we're talking about complications like high blood pressure or hypertensive disorders such as preeclampsia compared to pregnancies conceived naturally. It's all according to a study published by the American Heart Association journal Hypertension, which included data from more than 4.5 million pregnancies across 3 European nations. The new study did not evaluate what could be driving the association between frozen embryo transfers and high blood pressure risk, but some doctors wonder if it's really a matter of fresh versus frozen, but instead if it's the actual procedure of freezing the embryo or the protocol used. As of right now, more research is needed to determine whether similar findings could emerge in the U.S., but doctors say it's something to keep in mind and monitor for anyone considering or having an IVF pregnancy.
COVID-19 itself was not the only significant health threat the virus sparked here in the U.S.
Yeah, other things like drug overdoses specifically rose during the pandemic, according to information from Fair Health. But during the same time, fewer people were diagnosed with substance use disorder. The nonprofit says the findings are based on millions of medical claims from its database. Alcohol was responsible for 52% of cases last year. Opioids were second with 21%. Now, according to provisional data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, roughly 109,000 people had fatal drug overdoses in 2021. That's a 51% hike from 2019.
All right, how can you tell if the sniffles or if you're sneezing is because of a cold or possibly allergies, as you were telling me earlier? This is important, specifically if you're new to the area.
Yeah, many allergists say that folks who've never had allergies suddenly develop them here in Florida. This happened to my wife. Every year in the U.S., as many as 60 million people get the seasonal allergy misery. This time of year, ragweed and molds are typically out in full force. Common allergy symptoms are a stuffy or runny nose, itchiness, watery eyes, and sneezing. Experts say nasal sprays and antihistamines can help relieve these symptoms, or an allergy shot. You'd have to see an allergist for that.
Those are the most vulnerable individuals, as well as our special needs clients.
Seminole County leaders are working on emergency plans ahead of the storm.
And the shelters will be opening and the forthcoming evacuation orders. That story coming up this Tuesday morning. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-400-6949. That's 1-800-400-6949. 1-800-400-6949.
If you have COPD, asthma, chronic bronchitis, or emphysema, we can help you breathe a little easier. Med4Home may be the solution to your breathing problems with our portable nebulizer and medications. Independent studies have shown a nebulizer can be easier to use and more effective than an inhaler. And with Medicare, your nebulizer and medications may be covered by your Part B benefits. We're a specialty pharmacy that has been helping people since 1998. Call Med4Home today and we'll do whatever we can to make things easier. We deal directly with your doctor, handle all the paperwork, deliver to your door with no additional cost for shipping, and our pharmacists and respiratory therapists are there for you 24/7. So call Med4Home now to see how our portable nebulizer and medications can help you breathe easier.
For more information, call 1-800-658-1816. That's 1-800-658-1816.
Attractions Insider, a weekly Spectrum News podcast with the inside scoop on your favorite Florida attractions. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
New information right now. Hi, everybody. I'm Ebeth Brusual. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday morning.
And I'm Curtis McLeod in for Julie Gargott. I want to go ahead and get you to your top stories and your weather now in the next 90 seconds. The storm, Hurricane Ian, made landfall over western Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane early this morning. It's expected to make landfall in Florida as early as tomorrow.
Central Florida's commuter rail service is suspending their service as crews prepare the rail line for the storm workers, securing railroad gates, equipment, and so much more.
ULA is still aiming to launch an Atlas V rocket from the Space Coast this Friday. Crews are carefully watching the hurricane as it continues to make its trek towards this area.
What impacts will we feel from the hurricane? Let's find out right now.
Hurricane Ian, a Category 3 storm with winds of 115 miles per hour. As of the latest advisory, as it moves over warm waters, it's going to enter a region where strengthening will occur. But eventually, while the category comes down, the impacts stay the same for the Florida Peninsula. A slight jog to the southeast with the cone today, but that also would make landfall just a little bit earlier because of the shape of the Florida Peninsula, and the storm would meet land a little bit sooner. So if you look closely, you can see that landfall as a major hurricane somewhere in that cone of uncertainty late tomorrow night. Then the impacts continue for us through Thursday as the storm takes a slow track along the central part of the peninsula. Already seeing that rain lift into South Florida. We will see those rain bands increase in coverage here with limited sun for the rest of the afternoon.
Right now, we're making sure that you're prepared for any impacts from Hurricane Ian and what it could bring to us here in Central Florida.
Yeah, and on the other side of I-75, just north of Tampa, our Jason Lanning has been in Citrus County the past few days to get a lay of the land ahead of the storm.
Yeah, they're going to be getting even more impacts, stronger winds. Jason is joining us from Kings Bay with a look at how people are getting ready there.
We are in downtown Crystal River today, right up against Kings Bay, and you can see the level of confidence city leaders have in Crystal River about the potential for flooding this week. The signs are already pre-staged. Local businesses say flooding is common even during a simple afternoon storm here, so you can understand the seriousness of an approaching hurricane.
I think most people around here are pretty seasoned with this stuff. They understand, they respect the storms, they know what to do. So I think for the most part, people know what to do here.
That's Jeff Countryman, owner of the JC Wine and Coffee Bar in downtown Crystal River. It's just one of dozens that will be storm prepping today, getting everything off the floor and dropping sandbags. During Hurricane Michael in 2019, Countryman says his building took on 3 to 4 feet of storm surge from nearby Kings Bay. Storm surge from Hurricane Ian, depending on the track this week, could potentially reach 6 feet.
Most likely tonight we're going to be putting everything up. As you see, I got a whole bunch of wine back on the bar right now. We'll be putting it in our sinks and our coolers, everywhere where we think it would be our most safe spot to keep it and stuff like that. But I think common sense, you just keep things away from the windows, you keep things as far as away and in safe spots. And, you know, you ride out the storm as best as possible.
And if you are familiar with Crystal River, you know US 19 runs right through the middle of town and also right up against Kings Bay. Emergency management here will be watching US 19 closely in the event it needs to be shut down due to flooding later this week. Homeowners and businesses here are being urged to be fully prepped for Hurricane Ian by today. On scene in Crystal River, Jason Lanning, Spectrum News.
Seminole County officials are planning to open 8 emergency shelters at public schools across the county. Now, once the sites open up, and that's happening tomorrow, Emergency Management Director Alan Hayes, you're about to hear from him in a moment, he says the county will call for an evacuation of certain residents.
The evacuation would be low-lying areas, as I've mentioned previously, flood-prone areas, that's a challenge for us right now, and individuals in manufactured and mobile homes. Those are the most vulnerable individuals, as well as our special needs clients.
Schools in session in Seminole County for today, but then things change. Classes are canceled for tomorrow.
All right, it's important to know your zone when it comes to evacuations. The state has a website with countywide evacuation routes and zone maps. As the storm approaches, it's important to know where you got to go. Know your route. Florida's coastal counties are susceptible to storm surge from tropical storms and hurricanes.
Couldn't be any easier right now. My thing was getting here early, and it hasn't been that much of a wait.
Sandbag locations were back open yesterday in Brevard County. They'll be open again today. People making last-minute preparations. So far, the county has distributed more than 25,000 free sandbags. That's a lot.
That is a lot. Each car can get 10 bags per visit. Public Works is working in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office inmates to load them into vehicles. I want to go ahead and tell you, meanwhile, places like the Home Depot on 192 in West Melbourne have seen a steady stream of shoppers scooping up generators, gas cans, batteries, and tarps.
And that's why we still continuously get in trucks, working with our supply chain team on areas of opportunity and making sure we have what the community needs.
It's important to have an emergency hurricane kit ready. You can read up on what you should include in your kit right now on the Spectrum News app.
All right, so a lot of changes and adjustments with the storm heading this way. Central Florida attractions are, of course, closing. Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay will close its theme park today through Thursday. The Florida Aquarium closed yesterday afternoon. Disney World announced it will close Typhoon Lagoon tomorrow and Thursday. Zoo Tampa is closed from today through Thursday. After 8 public hearings this summer, the January 6th committee is still gathering information about the events that led up to the storming of the Capitol last year.
So tomorrow, everybody's talking about what's set to happen will be what's believed to be the last public hearing before a final report is released. Now, former President Donald Trump remains the major focus of the panel's investigation. The committee found that Mr. Trump's false claims of a stolen election provoked his supporters and that he did nothing for hours as they stormed the Capitol and threatened the life of even his own vice president.
Donald Trump's conduct on January 6th was a supreme violation of his oath of office and a complete dereliction of his duty to our nation.
The committee's authorization runs out at the end of the year, and Congressman Adam Schiff says the committee is ready to finish its work and release a final report on its findings before the end of the year. The plan is to make that and other parts of the investigation available online for the public to review.
The Justice Department has submitted a slightly revised inventory of materials seized in the search of former President Donald Trump's Florida home. The updated inventory submission is part of a special master review of the Mar-a-Lago materials. The DOJ also submitted an FBI affidavit indicating the new inventory fully reflects what was seized. The special master asked for the affidavit after Trump suggested without evidence that the FBI may have planted items during the search. Now, the agency said it only had 1 day to complete the initial inventory, but has now had more time to review the list. An agent quoted in the affidavit said the inventory changes were minor. Florida State football is now top 25 in the AP polls.
It's a big talker this morning. Coming up next, we'll show you where they fall after this weekend's big win. We're also keeping tabs on Hurricane Ian. The latest forecast straight ahead.
Carrie and Alex use T-Mobile for their mobile service. Steve and Anna have Spectrum Mobile. Both couples have 2 lines with unlimited data and nationwide 5G. So, what's the difference? Carrie and Alex pay a lot more with T-Mobile.
Plus taxes.
And fees. Spectrum Mobile has no added taxes or fees.
Plus really fast speeds. And reliable service. We're switching to Spectrum.
Switch and you could save up to 60% on your mobile bill. Call, click, or visit a store today.
What will you lose if the power goes out? Not only heating and cooling, but your phone, internet, your entire livelihood is at risk. Be prepared for a major outage with a Kohler backup generator.
We were without power for 5 days, but we had hot meals every day.
When the grid goes down or severe weather strikes, a Kohler generator can power your entire home automatically in seconds. Call or go online now, save up to $750 and get a free comprehensive 10-year extended warranty.
We went for the Kohler generator and have never looked back.
Don't wait until it's too late. Unlike portable models, Kohler backup generators offer seamless, hands-off operation without the need to refuel during a crisis. They automatically power your entire home, hassle-free.
I just love my Kohler generator.
Call or go online and save up to $750 plus get a free comprehensive 10-year extended warranty now.
Call 800-441-5456. That's 800-441-5456.
I've never been in a trial. My life is out of control.
Who will protect my rights?
We didn't know who to call.
I want to take back control.
Our family wants to take back control. So do I.
I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anna John Levine. We can help you with a variety of legal matters 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call us at 1-800-747-FREE for a consultation and take back control of your life.
Minutes past the hour. Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Maureen McCann. A lot to go over today as we await the impacts from Hurricane Ian. Regardless of where exact landfall occurs, we're still anticipating tropical storm, if not hurricane-force winds, now that we've seen an expansion of the hurricane watch. It now includes Seminole County. So, Sanford, you're now in a hurricane watch. This is the RP funding camera showing the cloud cover that we've seen steadily increase throughout the day. You can see how it kind of moves at different directions with height. We call that wind shear. So that wind shear, the differing of winds with height, going to be critical and ultimately helping to weaken Ian in the long-range forecast. As for the short term today, I know many of you trying to go get sandbags, trying to run errands, put gas in your car. There will be some scattered showers around. So there is the risk for rain. These are the outermost bands of rain, that tropical moisture that is going to be pushing up the peninsula. So Ian made landfall earlier in the western tip of Cuba, moving over water this afternoon into tonight, giving it an opportunity to strengthen. The 11 a.m. advisory showed a subtle shift in the cone to the southeast, kind of a trend that we saw earlier this morning too with some of the model runs, and it projects how the storm is still going to be producing major hurricane strength winds, so Category 3 at landfall based on the forecast track. But remember, it could still go anywhere within this cone of uncertainty. Where we see the cone more narrow, that gives more confidence about where the storm will go, and a shift more to the southeast would bring landfall sooner because of the shape of the peninsula and the curvature of the land. It would just meet the land a little bit sooner. So when we look at the track more closely for Central Florida, well, what does this mean for us? Regardless, the right side of the storm tends to be where the strongest winds are, the heavier squalls, and also rotation, but really the threats can be anywhere within that cone. So we need to stick to the entire cone and not just where the center goes. Models in good agreement in the short term. Again, these are two of our more reliable or more accurate models that we have been watching unfold for the last several days, and the American model keeps the slower storm over the peninsula, whereas the European takes it eventually to the north a little bit sooner, which would lessen the rain threat. The longer the storm hangs around, the more rain we're going to have. Remember, it's been pretty soggy here the last few weeks, and that's just going to exacerbate the flood threat. Here's your forecast in writing. 7 days up next. Right now, Clyde's around 13.
All right. right, the perfect 4-0 start to the season and a top 25 ranking has the Florida State football program riding high this morning.
It sure does. The Noles ranked 23 now and are off to their best start since 2015 after an impressive 44-14 win over Boston College Saturday. The 30-point margin was the largest against a Power 5 opponent since a 45-14 win over Syracuse in 2016. The victory also propelled FSU into the Coaches and Associated Press top 25 polls for the first time since 2018. The Noles are now looking ahead to Saturday's game where they face the number 22 Wake Forest. All right, let's turn things over to Danielle Stein, who has an update on the Bucs as Hurricane Ian continues its path towards Tampa in your morning sports minute and the Rays' 9 games road trip.
I'm Danielle Stein, and this is your Sports Minute. The Bucs are on the move today. The team is going down south to Miami, and they're going to be practicing this week at the Dolphins training facility. The Hurricane Ian is expected to impact the Tampa area this week, so the team did announce that as of now, Sunday's game against the Chiefs is still being played at home again at Ray J, but they will reevaluate, of course, as it gets closer. Now, the Rays are on the road for the rest of their season. Just 9 games left, all of them away from the Trop as they try to stay in chase for that top wild card spot. A series in Cleveland, Houston, and then Boston are all that's left. Tampa is 2.5 games behind Toronto going into the single-digit games. And the big day finally here, Orlando Magic hitting the court for the first time of training camp, what they worked on as they get their season going. All of that is tonight at 10:30 here on Spectrum Sports 360.
1. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
Awaiting visual confirmation.
Okay, there's a lot of excitement in the air, lots of folks giving each other a high five, and this has never been done before. What you're watching there, a direct hit. NASA managing to crash a satellite into an asteroid. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive there. The satellite smashed into the asteroid at a speed of 4,000 miles per second
We watched
night.
this live last night with our kid. He was like scared, but we said, you know, NASA's got this under control. They know what they're doing.
And that's pretty cool, though. You
Yes.
know, hey, it was all part of a test of the Planetary Defense System, also known as DART. The agency hopes to use the technology to protect the Earth from any asteroids or comets.
You know, we've worked on this mission for at least 7 years now, and it's been a work of over 1,000 people that have put their heart and soul into it. So to see it so beautifully concluded today was just an incredible feeling.
Right. I just love to hear their excitement. That's pretty neat. NASA officials will now analyze the data to see if they knock the asteroid off course.
So ULA is still aiming to launch an Atlas V rocket from our Space Coast this coming Friday. Leaders are monitoring Hurricane Ian very closely right now. The mission is planned to lift off this Friday at 5:36 in the afternoon from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. If any of that changes because of Hurricane Ian, we'll let you know. When all things space-related news pops up, we are your source for the very latest. NASA successfully crashed a DART spacecraft into an asteroid. That happened last night. We've got more on our website right now. And we've got more, of course, on all the missions happening from our Space Coast. Check it out right now at mynews13.com and on the Spectrum News app. Ahead of Hurricane Ian impacts, the latest episode of our political podcast is out. Look for this logo, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite. So with Representative Val Demings now running for the Senate, that means her U.S. House District 10 seat is up for grabs. Republican candidate, retired Colonel Calvin Wimbish, talks to us about his intentions if he's elected and what he plans to bring to the seat and the people.
I'm one that's going to bring character and courage and integrity to this election, not only throughout the campaign, but once I win and go to Congress, I will represent the people because it is for the people, of the people, and by the people that I will be in Washington, D.C. to connect back with those here in the county, the mayor, as well as down to the city level. We have to bring our country together and never forget where we've been, but more importantly, what are we going to do for the next generation and the generations beyond that.
He also shares with us what it's like to be black and Republican. Republican congressional candidate Calvin Wimbish on this week's Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available right now on the Spectrum News app or wherever you get your podcasts from. Okay, we're told this week's A+ teacher is stern.
But there's a reason for that.
The number one thing I do every day is literally teach kids how to be learners.
Just ahead, we'll introduce you to her and show you why her students believe she's also makes learning exciting. Stay with us. You're watching Spectrum News 13.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
Introducing Parish Healthcare's Health and Wellness Center, now open at Crossroads Plaza. Whether you're wanting to lose weight, build muscle, or improve your overall health, the professionals at Parish Healthcare's Health and Wellness Center are dedicated to ensure you achieve your fitness goals. The center offers customized personal training, heart-healthy classes, and low-impact to high-intensity workout options for everyone. Visit parishhealthcare.com/health and wellness to learn more.
Ready to move up the ladder, but needing a bachelor's degree is holding you back? Become a better you in 2022. Advance your career with a bachelor's degree from Eastern Florida State College. Choose from 25 Bachelor of Applied Science degree specializations in business, healthcare, computer technology, and education. Many fully online programs are available to help you design your perfect schedule. Get the assistance you need to get started today. It's great to be a Titan.
Attention, anyone who served, lived, or worked at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. Camp Lejeune's drinking water was dangerously toxic, and base personnel and their families have since suffered cancer and other illnesses. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and were diagnosed with cancer, you may be eligible for significant compensation. Call the Driscoll firm now. Consultations are free, and you won't pay a fee unless we get you the money you deserve. 1-800-273-4800.
A new start awaits at your Central Florida Acura dealers today. Acura of Melbourne, Fountain Acura, AutoNation Acura North Orlando, Jenkins Acura.
Our main focus is Hurricane Ian, a major Category 3 storm as of the latest advisory. Myself and Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick watching a little bit of a shift in the track to the east and a threat that would be greater for areas south of Tampa, but also the entire peninsula needs to be watching this. And we encourage you, no matter where you are, to have our Spectrum News app downloaded. Make sure notifications are turned on. It's going to be so important if the power goes out. And of course, you can share your pictures with us. So the wind gets all the attention with a hurricane because that's what they are rated on with the Saffir-Simpson scale that is solely based on wind. What the category doesn't tell you is the tornado threat, the storm surge threat, the heavy rain potential. So we have a lot of different hazards that we are going to be facing here in Central Florida. As soon as today, with our increasing bands of rain coming up from the south, any of those could start rotating. So our tornado threat starts today, but it's going to be prolonged. A slow-moving storm, as long as the system is nearby, will have the potential for rotation, will have the potential for strong winds, storm surge, a greater concern on the west coast, and area-wide a flood threat because of several days of heavy rainfall with a slow-moving system. Ian did slow down a little bit with the last advisory to the north at 10 miles per hour. It's entering a region of very warm water. Sea surface temperatures here in the upper 80s, even near 90 degrees by the Keys. So that's the fuel to strengthen the storm. And that will happen based on the forecast track in the short term. But as it gains latitude, moves further north, it's going to interact with some differing wind directions with height. So the shear is going to start to interact, and there'll also be some drier air coming in with a trough to the north of us. That's going to help weaken it. But I say weaken very lightly because the impacts are still going to be the same. Don't want you to get too hung up on the category. The threats are still going to be the rain, the wind, the isolated tornadoes, and a prolonged threat given a slower track across the peninsula and eventually up into North Florida. The wind field with this has expanded in terms of where tropical tropical storm force winds are. Those extend out from the storm center over 115 miles from the storm center, and then the strongest winds near the center of circulation. But you can tell by tomorrow afternoon, we may start to feel those tropical storm force winds, the stronger winds in orange, tighter near the center. But still, the potential is there for some of those to come through central Florida, capable of taking down trees, taking down power lines, and leaving us with power outages long after the storm departs. So there's the wind threat, and then we also have the rain threat to add on to the risk of power outages, because the ground is already so saturated. Those trees, given any wind, could be toppling pretty easily. When you talk about rainfall totals, that will be cumulative. We're looking between now and tomorrow night with just one model, but it projects 3 to 4 inches. We could be measuring the rain in feet by the time it is over rather than in inches, but you can tell it's the central part of the peninsula that's going to get some of that heavy rain. So moisture starting to stream in tonight with the bands of rain, or in this afternoon. The threat for wet weather continues through Friday, all pending the exact timing and track of the storm. Temperatures stay a little bit lower the next few days with more clouds around. Things improve by the weekend.
So a gifted student nominated today's Volusia County A+ teacher, saying her classroom has a lot of fun stuff to do, admitting that she can sometimes be a little on the strict side.
It's a delicate balance that has to happen, right?
Definitely.
Tammy Fields explains. She says her #1 mission is to teach children how to be learners.
Over. Nicely done. All right, we'll consider that over.
A lot of anticipation and creativity in this Woodward Avenue Elementary School class of gifted students. Their teacher, Carol Larson. One of her students nominated her, saying she really brings the fun when it comes to learning.
And then Roz has...
Nice.
Oh, it's like a hook. And then... Wow. Whoa.
She's doing a little assisting here.
Now that is just like genius. Yay.
In the classroom for 11 years, Larson was inspired to go into this field by her family.
I actually am a 4th-generation public school teacher. My great-grandmother, whom I actually named after, was a public school teacher back in the 1800s. So it's kind of an important family tradition. Education is super important in my family.
So what does Larson want her students to take away from her class when they move on to the next grade?
The #1 thing I do every day is literally teach kids how to be learners. In math, science, social studies.
And Carol Larson is learning there is nowhere else she'd rather be.
And I love it. I love teaching.
In DeLand, Tammy Fields, Spectrum News.
We know there's some incredible teachers out there going that extra mile. If you know of a passionate teacher like Miss Larson, who really goes for it to make sure the kiddos are figuring things out, send us an email and let us know about them. There's the address right there, teachers@charter.com, to see if we can feature them right here on Spectrum News 13.
Good morning, Central Florida. Here's what's happening in our community, brought to you by the expert injury attorneys at Todd Minor Law.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingenen Law, we are the workers' comp experts that you need and deserve. We don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407 Workers now. Workers' comp, it's all we do.
Worried about your roof? Universal Roof and Contracting is on the way. With our Platinum Protection Warranty Program, you can be confident that your forever home has a forever roof. And right now, save on roof repairs and roof replacements, plus get 0% financing.
I'm Jade with Universal Roof and Contracting. A new Universal Roof will be your forever roof.
5-star rated. Universal Roof and Contracting. We're on the way. UniversalRoof.com.
Buy my house. Hello? Buy my house. Oh, hey. Buy my house.
Oh, okay. What are you doing?
I'm just letting everyone know that I'm selling my house.
Okay, stop that. That's not how you sell a home. You need marketing, tough guy. Have you canvassed your neighborhood with door hangers and flyers?
No.
Have you sent out targeted mail to potential buyers in the area?
No.
Have you built a dedicated website specifically showcasing your home?
No.
Now, did you know that a homevalue.com agent will do all of this for you?
No.
So, do you think what you're doing right now is smart?
No.
Homevalue.com. Our middle son left to go to work, and a twice deported illegal ran into him and he killed him. This is what happens when we have open borders. We were able to go and meet with Governor DeSantis. He said, I want to hear your son's story. And to see the compassion in his eyes, he wanted to make sure other lives were protected. He's been very strong on safety. He's been very strong on law and order. He has made our state one of the safest states to be in. There's no greater leader than Governor DeSantis.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingen & Law, we don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407 Workers or visit 407workers.com. Don't choose bigger, choose better. Workers' comp, it's all we do.